Malik Johnson was just walking home from school. 3 white boys, sons of the most powerful men in Clayton Parish, dragged him into the woods, beat him, and left him to suffer. But Malik isn't alone. His father, Marcus Johnson, has spent 2 decades moving in silence, hunting enemies across foreign battlefields. Now he's back home. And this time, the enemies wear sheriff badges and courtroom robes. One by one, the fathers will learn this veteran doesn't call the police. He doesn't post online. He handles things personally. But as Marcus closes in on the men who hurt his son, he uncovers something darker, an old secret this town has buried for generations. What happens when a father built for war brings justice to a place that's never known it? Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you won't want to miss. The late afternoon sun filtered through the pines, casting long shadows across the dirt path. Malik Johnson's running shoes kicked up clouds of dust as he made his way home from track practice. His muscles ached pleasantly from the workout, and the cool Louisiana breeze felt good against his skin. He pulled out his phone, thumbs flying as he typed a quick message to his mom. Practice went great. Be home in 20. Angela's reply came quickly. Proud of you, baby. Dinner's almost ready. Malik smiled and slid the phone back into his pocket. The shortcut through the woods saved him at least 15 minutes compared to the main road. He'd taken this trail hundreds of times before, knowing every twist and turn by heart. The familiar sounds of birds calling and leaves rustling in the wind surrounded him. His thoughts drifted to the upcoming county track meet this weekend. Coach Ramirez said he had a real chance at breaking the parish record in the 400-meter dash. The idea made his chest swell with pride. All those extra practice sessions were finally paying off. A twig snapped somewhere behind him. Malik faltered for just a moment but kept walking. The woods were alive with animals, probably just a rabbit or squirrel. Still, something made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. He picked up his pace, keeping his breathing steady the way he did during training. Another snap, closer this time, and then hushed voices. His pulse jumped. The path ahead curved around a thick stand of oak trees, blocking his view. Malik's hands balled into fists. He remembered his father's words from their last video call. Always trust your instincts, son. They're trying to tell you something. Right now, his instincts were screaming at him to run. Before he could act, heavy footsteps pounded the dirt behind him. Malik spun around just as 3 figures burst from the tree line. He knew them instantly. Brent Boyd, the sheriff's son, along with Carter Millen and Travis Latimore. Well, look who it is. Brent sneered, his pale face twisted into an ugly grin. The track star himself. Malik's mouth went dry. He stepped back, mind racing through options. The main road was too far, the woods too thick to sprint through. And these guys weren't just big, they were football players used to tackling. I don't want any trouble, Malik said, forcing his voice steady, even as his stomach churned with fear. I'm just heading home. Travis Latimore circled left, Carter Millen to the right, cutting off his escape. Maybe you shouldn't be sneaking through our woods, Carter said, cracking his knuckles. Might give folks the wrong idea. These aren't your woods, Malik replied, his father's training kicking in as he adjusted his stance, trying to keep them all in sight. This is public land. Brent laughed, but there was no humor in it. Everything in Clayton Parish belongs to someone, boy. You need to learn your place. Malik's phone buzzed in his pocket, probably his mom, wondering why he hadn't answered her last text. The thought of her waiting at home, dinner cooling, made his chest ache, but he couldn't reach for it. Couldn't look away from the 3 boys advancing. Last chance, Brent said, pulling something from his back pocket that glinted in the dying light. You can come with us quiet, or we can do this the hard way. The woods seemed darker now. Shadows deeper. Malik's heart slammed against his ribs. This wasn't going to be just another bullying incident. The look in their eyes told him they had something worse in mind. He thought about his father again, all those lessons on self-defense and standing your ground. But they'd never cover what to do when it's 3 against 1, all bigger than you, and at least one of them armed. Malik's muscles tensed, ready to fight or run, whichever came first. The phone buzzed again, insistent now. His mom would be worrying. The thought almost broke his focus, but he forced himself to stay locked on the threat. The three formed a tight triangle, close enough that he could smell the cigarette smoke on their clothes. Brent moved first, lunging with the metallic object in hand. Malik dodged, but Travis's arms clamped around him from behind, pinning him. Dirt sprayed as his feet left the ground. "Got him!" Travis growled, tightening his grip until Malik could barely breathe. Brent pulled a white hood over his head, followed by Carter and Travis. The sight made Malik's blood run cold. They'd planned this. They'd waited. "Get him in the truck," Brent ordered, pointing toward a battered pickup hidden off the trail. Malik thrashed harder, but Travis's grip was iron. His shoes scraped as they dragged him. "Let me go," Malik shouted, hoping anyone might hear. But the woods swallowed his voice. Carter's fist slammed into his stomach, stealing his breath. They tossed him into the truck bed like trash. His head cracked against metal, stars exploding in his vision. Before he could recover, rough hands bound his wrists with duct tape. More tape sealed his mouth. The engine roared. Through blurred eyes, Malik watched the trees whip past as they drove deeper into the woods, bouncing over roots and rocks. His phone was gone, lost somewhere back on the trail. No one would know where he was. After what felt like forever, the truck stopped in a clearing. They yanked him out, his knees buckling as he hit the ground. The masked boy circled. "Time for your lesson," Brent said, voice muffled by his hood. His boot slammed into Malik's ribs. The beating went on and on. Fists and boots from all directions. Through the pain, Malik heard their taunt slurs that cut deeper than the blows. He tried curling into a ball, protecting vital organs like his father taught him, but they pulled him apart. "This is our town," Travis spat, driving another kick. "Don't forget it." Carter hung back, landing fewer hits, but he didn't stop it either. Through swollen eyes, Malik saw him grab his backpack from the truck. "Look what I found," Carter called out, trying to sound tough despite the shake in his voice. Travis laughed, unzipping his pants. "Let me show you what I think of your homework." The sharp smell of urine filled the air as he drenched Malik's books, phone charger, and track uniform. Wood scraped the ground. Through haze and pain, Malik saw them erect a crude wooden cross, maybe 3 feet tall. Brent flicked a lighter. Flames licked upward. "Remember this," Brent hissed, yanking Malik's hair to force his gaze on the burning cross. "Remember what happens when you forget your place." Then they left him bleeding into dirt. The truck engine faded, leaving only the crackle of flames and Malik's ragged breaths. Night fell. The air chilled. Using every ounce left, Malik began crawling toward where he thought the road was. His body screamed. Blood dripped from his nose, his lip staining the dirt. He didn't know how long he crawled. Time blurred. Headlights cut through the dark. Tires crunched on gravel. Malik tried to call out, but managed only a whisper. "Lord have mercy," came a familiar voice. Mr. Rivers, who owned the farm by the woods, knelt beside him. The old man's rough hands were gentle as he checked Malik's injuries. "Hold on, son. I'm calling for help." The ambulance came in a blur of sirens and lights. His mother's tears fell on his face as she rode with him. Doctors worked, cleaning wounds, wrapping ribs, photographing evidence with grim precision. That night, in the quiet hospital room, Angela paced. Her hands trembled as she dialed a number she rarely used. 3 rings before it connected. "Marcus," she whispered, voice breaking. "They hurt our baby. They hurt him bad." In a dim motel room states away, Marcus Johnson listened in silence. When she finished, his reply was only 2 words cold as steel. "I'm coming." The morning sun cast long shadows across Clayton Parish's main street as Marcus Johnson's gray sedan rolled into town. He'd driven through the night, replaying Angela's words about Malik's injuries over and over. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, but his face betrayed nothing. The Magnolia Diner sat on the corner of Oak and Jefferson, its flickering neon sign struggling against the early light. Marcus parked across the street, studying the worn facade. Through the big windows, he could see the morning regulars hunched over their coffee cups. Inside, the bell chimed as he entered. The smell of bacon grease and scorched coffee filled the air. A few heads lifted, taking in the stranger in their small parish, before quickly looking away. Marcus chose a booth near two elderly white men, their clothes suggesting retired farmers or mill workers. "Coffee?" the waitress asked, already pouring before he could answer. Marcus nodded, moving with controlled ease. He opened the menu but didn't glance at it, his attention fixed on the voices drifting from the booth beside him. "Heard about that mess out by Rivers Place?" One of the men rasped, his voice rough from cigarettes. "Sure did, Doan. Some colored boy got himself roughed up pretty good," the other replied, stirring cream into his cup. "Sheriff's boy was in it, from what I hear." "Well, you know how it goes," Doan muttered. "These young ones nowadays don't know their place. Start thinking they can date our girls, join our teams." The other man grunted approval. "Shame it had to come to that. But sometimes boys need a lesson." Marcus's coffee sat untouched, steam curling upward. His breathing was steady, measured the same rhythm he'd used on missions. His eyes tracked every movement, while his ears caught every word. "Heard they lit a cross, too," Doan said, his voice tinged with excitement. "Just like the old days." "Keep it down," the other hissed. "But yeah, Brent Boyd's boy knows how to send a message, just like his daddy." The waitress came back. "Ready to order, hun?" Marcus looked up, his eyes so cold she stepped back. "Just a coffee," he said quietly. The two men's conversation picked up again, more animated now. They spoke of the good old days when people knew their place. Names dropped casually, places, references to the sheriff and judge like they were family friends. A young deputy walked in, nodding at the men as he passed. "Morning, Mr. Doan. Mr. Thompson." "Hey there, Jimmy," Doan called. "How's the sheriff handling all this?" The deputy shrugged. "Lots of paperwork, but you know how it is. Kid probably brought it on himself." Marcus's hand tightened slightly on his cup. It was the only outward sign of the storm building inside. He'd seen this before in villages across the world, the casual way people spoke about violence when they thought it would never reach them. The diner filled with more locals as the morning wore on, their hushed tones painting a clearer picture of Clayton Parish's power structure. Marcus sat motionless for nearly an hour. To the casual eye, he looked like a man lost in thought. But his mind worked with mechanical precision, mapping the town's dynamics, noting pressure points, calculating moves. When he finally stood, he left a $5 bill beneath the untouched coffee. The bell chimed as he stepped back into the light. The sedan started quietly, pulling away with deliberate calm. Behind him, Doan and Thompson kept chatting, oblivious that they just handed a soldier everything he needed to dismantle their carefully protected world. The fluorescent lights of Clayton General Hospital cast harsh shadows over Malik's battered face. Marcus lingered at the doorway, taking in the sight of his son. Purple bruises marred his cheekbone, one eye swollen nearly shut. Angela rose from the chair, tears brimming as she embraced her husband. Marcus held her tight, his gaze fixed on Malik. "Doctor says nothing's broken," Angela whispered. "But they want to keep him another night. Internal bruising." Marcus nodded, gently releasing her. He pulled a chair close, lowering himself slowly. "Hey, son. Hey, Dad." Malik's voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. "Tell me everything," Marcus said softly. "Every detail." "Take your time," Malik swallowed, wincing. "I was walking home. Shortcut by the creek." His voice trembled. "They wore masks, but I knew them. Their voices." Marcus listened intently, face unreadable. He noticed Malik's hands tremble when describing the burning cross, the way his voice caught on the slurs. Angela stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself. They took pictures, Malik added, on their phones, laughing. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He pulled out his own phone, carefully photographing each bruise, each boot mark. The backpack sat in a hospital bag by the bed burn, defaced with slurs. He documented that too. "I'll be back soon," he said, kissing Angela's cheek and squeezing Malik's hand. The afternoon sun was bright as Marcus followed the creek path. He moved like a man trained for war, scanning the ground. Boot prints in the mud confirmed 3 attackers. Cigarette butts Marlboro red scattered near the scorched earth where the cross had burned. He collected them in a plastic bag. Tire tracks gouged the soil. 4-wheel drive, newer model, pickup, judging by the width. Rope fibers lay frayed near a log, the end suggesting they'd been cut, not untied. More evidence into another bag. That evening, the hospital room glowed orange in sunset. Marcus sat between wife and son, his voice steady but firm. "I need their names." Angela looked away. "Marcus, maybe the police." "The police?" Malik's bitter laugh cut her off. "Sheriff Boyd's son was there, Mom." Marcus waited silent. Finally, Malik whispered, "Brent Boyd, Carter Millen, Travis Latimore." Marcus committed each name to memory, noting Angela's flinch at the last one, the judge's son, the sheriff's boy, the hardware store heir. Names heavy with weight in Clayton Parish. Later that night, in his bare motel room, Marcus stood before the mirror. The fluorescent light buzzed as he laid out items on the counter: a prepaid flip phone, a matte black folding knife, a leather case of professional lockpicks, and a crisp black notebook. He opened it to a blank page. With precise strokes, he wrote the first name, Boyd. The Clayton Parish Sheriff's Office sat like a brick fortress on Main Street, its tinted windows glinting in the sun. Marcus adjusted his collar and walked through the glass doors. The front desk deputy barely looked up from his crossword. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Sheriff Boyd." Marcus's voice was quiet, but carried authority. "And you are?" "Marcus Johnson." "Malik Johnson's father." The deputy froze, something flickering across his face. Recognition, unease. He picked up the phone, murmured into it. "Sheriff will see you now. Down the hall, last door right." The corridor was lined with framed clippings celebrating Boyd drug busts, charity events, football coaching. Marcus studied each one, building a picture of the man behind the desk he was about to face. Sheriff Dale Boyd sat in his oak office, khaki uniform straining across his bulk. A half-eaten sandwich leaked yolk onto its wrapper. "Mr. Johnson," Boyd said with a smile that didn't touch his eyes. "What can I do for you?" Marcus remained standing, hands loose at his sides. "I'm here about my son's assault." "Ah, yes." Boyd wiped his fingers. "Deputy filed that. Unfortunate business. Kid's getting rough. 3 boys kidnapped and beat my son while calling him slurs," Marcus said evenly. "They burned a cross." Boyd leaned back, chair creaking. "Let's not throw around terms like kidnap. Boys will be boys. Sometimes roughhousing. They took pictures." "So I heard," Boyd shrugged. "But no one's seen him. And without evidence." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing photos of Malik's bruises, the burned backpack, the defensive wounds. Boyd barely glanced. "Could have gotten those anywhere. Maybe a fight at school. I hear your boy runs track. Could have fallen." The sheriff's dismissive tone made Marcus colder inside. He noticed the family photos on Boyd's desk, his son Brent in uniform, grinning beside his father. "Your boy was there," Marcus said softly. Boyd's face hardened. "That's a serious accusation. Careful spreading rumors." Malik identified them, all 3. The word of one injured teenager against 3 of Clayton Parish's finest boys? Good luck. Boyd rose, looming over his desk. Marcus didn't move. His stillness unsettled Boyd. "Look," Boyd said, his tone shifting. "I get you're upset. But these things happen. Best to let it blow over." "Would you say that if it were your boy in the hospital?" Boyd flushed. "Now listen here." "No," Marcus cut him off, his voice soft. You listen. This isn't going away. What happened wasn't roughhousing. It was a hate crime. Get out of my office. Boyd's voice shook with rage. And if you keep slandering my boy, you'll be facing charges yourself. Marcus met his gaze. He saw the sweat at the sheriff's temples, the tremor in his hand. Behind the badge, Boyd was afraid. Not of Marcus, but of what he represented. Have a good day, Sheriff. Marcus turned and walked out, leaving Boyd standing frozen behind his desk. The front desk deputy watched Marcus leave, pencil frozen above his crossword. Through tinted windows, Main Street bustled, oblivious to the quiet war just declared inside the sheriff's office. Marcus's gray sedan rode away with the same steady calm he'd carried in the battle zones. His next stop was the county courthouse, a looming white column building anchoring the square. The marble steps led up to Judge Charles Millen's chambers on the second floor. A secretary with steel gray hair looked up from her typewriter as Marcus entered. Sir, you'll need an appointment. Marcus walked past without pausing. He'll see me. Judge Millen looked up from behind his polished oak desk, wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. His chamber was immaculate law books aligned, diplomas hung with surgical precision. This is highly irregular, Millen drawled, his voice thick with old Louisiana money and older prejudice. So was what happened to my son, Marcus replied, standing motionless. The judge removed his glasses, folding them carefully. Ah, you must be the Johnson boy's father. I heard about that unfortunate incident. But accusing my son Carterwell, that's a serious claim. His smile was rehearsed, patronizing. There's evidence, Marcus said. Hearsay from an injured teenager isn't evidence in my courtroom, Millen countered smoothly. Marcus stepped closer, his voice calm. This isn't your courtroom, and I'm not here for legal proceedings. Millen's practiced smile faltered. Then why are you here? To give you one chance to make this right. Is that a threat? Millen's hand moved toward a drawer. Marcus's tone didn't change. Just a fact. Like the fact that your son helped torture mine. Millen stood abruptly, face flushed. Get out before I call security. Marcus turned without another word, leaving the judge trembling behind his desk. Later that afternoon, Marcus entered Latimore's Hardware on the edge of town. The faded sign creaked in the wind. The bell jingled. Behind the counter, Carl Latimore, a thick man with calloused hands, looked up. We're closing early today. This won't take long, Marcus said. His boots echoed against the worn floor. Carl's eyes narrowed. Recognition flickered. You're that Johnson boy's daddy. Get out of my store. His hand dipped beneath the counter. Your son took pictures while they beat mine, Marcus said evenly. Posted them before deleting. But nothing really disappears from the internet. Carl's jaw tightened. You got no proof. You get one chance, Marcus said, his tone unchanged. One, Carl barked a laugh. Or what? You'll sue me? Good luck with that in Clayton Parish. I'm not interested in lawsuits. Marcus turned and walked out, leaving Latimore gripping whatever weapon he had hidden. That night, 3 vehicles pulled up to Carl's barn, the sheriff's SUV, the judge's Mercedes, and Carl's pickup. Inside, under a single bulb, the men gathered. He threatened all of us, Boyd muttered, pacing across the hay-strewn floor. Millen perched on a crate, looking out of place in his suit. He's dangerous. Military trained. He's one man, Carl spat. We run this parish. Boyd shook his head. My contacts say he's special forces. A SEAL. Millen dabbed sweat from his forehead. Perhaps we should consider diplomacy. Diplomacy? Carl slammed his bottle down. Your boy helped teach his kid a lesson same as mine. You getting soft, Charles? I'm suggesting we think, Millen said. Violence could escalate. Already thought it through? Carl cut him off. We send a message, Boyd nodded. I got deputies who look away. Could make it an accident, Millen whispered. Accidents happen. Carl grinned, especially to outsiders who don't know their place. The barn fell silent, except for crickets. Boyd crushed his beer can. My cousin Billy's got friends in Meridian. Real hard cases. They could pay Johnson a visit. Millen shifted uneasily. And if he reports, Boyd laughed. To who? Me? I'd file it myself. Could stage it like a robbery, Carl added. Rough him up. Take his wallet. Make it look random. Millen loosened his tie. And if he fights back, you said he's trained. That's why we send enough, Carl replied. 5, maybe 6. No one fights those odds. Better nip this in the bud, Boyd said. Old hunting cabin, past Miller Creek. Perfect place. Carl nodded. If he doesn't survive, accidents happen. Fires, gas leaks. Plenty can go wrong in the woods. Millen whispered, Jesus, Carl. You got a better idea, Judge, Carl snapped. That Johnson fellow isn't backing down. You saw his eyes. Boyd returned to the group. We need to decide tonight. Either we stop him or risk everything. Everything our fathers built, Carl added. What they didn't see, hidden beyond the barn wall, was Marcus Johnson. Perfectly still in the shadows, a parabolic mic aimed at them, his rental car parked 2 lots over. The recorder in his hand captured every word, every threat. His jaw tightened when Carl mentioned Billy's ex-con from Meridian. He knew the type muscle for hire, all brutality, no brains. Could plant something in his car? Boyd's voice came through. Got a deputy who could pull him over. Better yet, Carl added, get his boy to throw the first punch. Self-defense, right, Sheriff? Boyd chuckled. Ain't hard to make charges stick when you're the one writing. Marcus's fingers clenched on the mic, but his breathing stayed calm. Each threat was another nail in their coffin. Could rough him up again, Boyd said. Plant a knife. Say he pulled it first? Carl smirked. Get our story straight. 3 witnesses to 1. Who's going to believe him? For 20 more minutes, the men built their planned alibis, false witnesses, pressuring families into silence. Marcus recorded it all. Finally, headlights swept the barn as Millen left. Then Boyd. Carl lingered, phoning Billy. Tomorrow night, bring 5. Make it look random. No hospitals. 10 minutes later, Marcus moved. He unscrewed the single bulb, plunging the barn into dark. From his pocket, he placed a spent .45 case in dead center on the table. The brass would tell them 2 things. He'd heard everything, and he was capable of more than they imagined. He scanned the barn one last time, boot prints, bottles, cigarette butts, details they'd overlooked. Then he vanished into the night, leaving only fear behind. The morning sun hadn't yet cleared the trees when Sheriff Dale Boyd pulled into the station lot. His coffee froze halfway to his lips. Where his patrol truck had been was now nothing but a stripped skeleton resting on concrete blocks. Wheels gone. Doors gone. Even the light bar ripped away. He stumbled out, spilling coffee down his khaki. The truck sat perfectly level, stripped cleaner than a Thanksgiving turkey. Seats, steering wheel, even the radio gone. Not a bolt left that wasn't vital. The bank's camera across the street should have caught something, but its lens was covered in black tape. The station's cameras? Dead, cables neatly severed. Jesus, Deputy Rick Martinez muttered, running up. Sheriff, I swear it was fine last night. Boyd barked orders, CSI, prints, tire tracks. But deep down, he knew. This wasn't random. This was military work. His hands trembled as he remembered Marcus Johnson's calm warning. Across town, Carl Latimore's day began worse. His private garage lock lay open. Inside, his prize rifle collection was disassembled. Each part hung from wires like some grotesque wind chime. Barrels, stocks, triggers spinning in the morning breeze. Ammunition lined his workbench in neat rows, shells emptied, powder scattered. The casing spelled 2 chilling words, next time. Carl staggered, dialing Boyd with shaking fingers. He was here, in my garage. Boyd cut him off. My truck's stripped outside the damn station. Meet me at the judge's chambers. Carl's heart sank as he spotted the receipt pinned to his dashboard dated 3 years ago. his son's purchase of rope and lighter fluid. Evidence. That morning, Judge Charles Millen entered his chambers to find a manila envelope on his desk, inside glossy photographs. His son Carter, face visible despite the hood, standing over Malik's battered body. Behind him, a burning cross. Other photos detailed decades of cases where Millen had buried evidence, silenced witnesses, rigged trials. His blood ran cold. His phone rang. Carl's panicked voice. He gutted my garage. Boyd's voice joined, tight with rage, and stripped my truck. Millen barely listened, staring at the damning photos. Then his computer flickered. A text file opened itself. 6 words typed across the screen. You didn't listen the first time. Panic spread. In the judge's office, the 3 men argued. Boyd raged about psychological warfare. Carl cursed. Millen whispered, "He's not a man, he's a ghost." Boyd swore he'd call state police. Millen shook his head. And say what? That someone has evidence of our sons committing hate crimes? Of my corruption? They were trapped. Across town, Marcus stood in his yard with Malik. "First lesson," he said quietly. "Power isn't size. It's leverage and knowledge." Malik mirrored his stance, bruises still on his face. Together they practiced wrist releases, holds, counters. Marcus drilled him patiently. "This isn't revenge. It's readiness. Never be a victim again." Sweat dripped as Malik broke free of his father's grip. Angela watched from the window, torn between sorrow and pride. In that fading light, father and son moved like shadows, preparing for what was to come. That night, Judge Millen returned to his home. Something felt wrong, the smell of coffee brewing. In his kitchen, Marcus sat calmly at the table, 2 mugs steaming. "How did you get in?" Millen stammered. Marcus gestured to the chair. "Sit. Your coffee's getting cold." Millen sat, trembling. Marcus's tone never rose, but each word cut. "Take your son to confess. Make a public apology. Sign the confession I left, or next time will be worse." The judge blustered about power, about generations of control. Marcus simply leaned forward. "Privilege doesn't make you untouchable." Millen snapped, reaching for a drawer. But Marcus moved faster, twisting his wrist, slamming his head into the desk. When the judge woke, he was taped to his chair in his study, stripped to humiliation. Before him lay a typed confession. Marcus's voice was calm. "You'll sign, or you'll break. Either way, everyone will see who you are." Hours later, the clerk found him, screaming about Navy SEALs and conspiracies. To the public, it was a breakdown. To the powerful, it was a warning. Sheriff Boyd sought escape in his hunting woods. Rifle in hand, he muttered to himself about setting things right. But the forest was too quiet. Then a calm voice behind him, "Beautiful morning for a hunt." He spun. Marcus stood there, hands in his pockets. Boyd raised his rifle. Marcus stepped closer. "No, you won't shoot, because deep down you're a coward, just like your boy." Boyd roared, pulling the trigger. Click. Empty. Marcus held up a fistful of cartridges. "Looking for these?" Boyd swung the rifle like a club. Marcus flowed inside the arc, elbowing his gut, dropping him to his knees. Each strike was measured, precise. Boyd wheezed, bloody, spitting teeth. Marcus pinned his badge to his chest with a boot. "Take it off." Trembling, Boyd unpinned it. Marcus crushed it underfoot. "You know the difference between us," Marcus said evenly. "I could kill you, but I won't. My son needs to see justice, not revenge." He bound Boyd to a pine with rope, knots professional. Kneeling, he whispered, "That's how my son felt. That's how everyone you've wronged felt. Remember it." Then he vanished into the mist. Deputies found Boyd hours later, bruised, broken, insisting it was a fall, but fear haunted his eyes. For the first time, Sheriff Boyd knew helplessness. Meanwhile, Carl Lettimore gathered the 3 boys Travis, Brent, Carter in his hardware backroom. "Your fathers are weak, but we won't back down. Tomorrow you'll teach that Johnson boy his place." He handed them ski masks. Malik will be alone after practice. Carl's voice dripped venom. Make it hurt. Make him remember. The next afternoon, Malik sat doing homework. The scrape at the back door froze him. 3 shadows. The door burst. Travis led, mask on. Brent and Carter flanked him. Daddy ain't here to save you, Travis sneered. Malik planted his stance, calm. Brent lunged first. Malik slid inside the punch, snapping Brent's arm with a crack. Brent screamed, collapsing. Travis charged, but Malik sidestepped, slamming him face first into the wall. Carter hesitated, then doubled over as Malik's knee caught his stomach. Get out! Malik's voice thundered with authority he didn't know he had. Brent scrambled, sobbing, dragging Carter with him. Only Travis stayed, dazed. Then red and blue lights flooded the window. Deputies stormed in. Hands up! Deputy Wilson Boyd's right hand cuffed Malik brutally. They broke in, Malik protested. Look at the door! Shut it! Wilson barked. 3 witnesses say you attacked them. That's all I need. At booking, Malik endured fingerprints, mugshot, cold concrete. He sat in the cell, back against the wall, recalling his father's words. The fight doesn't end when you win. It ends when you're safe. He wasn't safe yet, but he wasn't afraid. He had stood his ground, and he knew, somewhere out there, his father was already moving, already planning, already bringing justice to Clayton Parish. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Marcus Johnson walked into Clayton Parish, sheriff's station at 7 a.m. sharp. His boots clicked against the linoleum, each step deliberate. Deputies looked up from their coffee, tension cutting the air. Deputy Wilson's hand hovered near his holster. Stations closed for visitors. Marcus didn't stop. His voice carried like thunder in its calm. I'm here to see my son, Wilson smirked. Visiting hours start at 9. Marcus planted himself at the desk, locking eyes. Something in his steady gaze made Wilson flinch back. Deputy Martinez, young and nervous, cleared his throat. I'll take him back, sir. Keys jingled. The cell block door opened. Marcus's footsteps echoed until he reached the last cell. Malik sat straight backed against the wall, eyes alert despite exhaustion. You okay? Marcus asked, voice softer now. Malik nodded. They broke in. Masks on. 3 of them. I know. Marcus gripped the bars. Tell me what happened. I did what you taught me. Brent came first. I broke his arm. Then Travis and Carter. I handled it. But the deputies, Marcus cut him gently. You did everything right. This isn't about last night. This is your test. Malik stood, closer to the bars. What do you mean? They think this cell breaks you, makes you afraid. But you're not afraid anymore, are you? Malik swallowed. No, sir. Marcus's eyes gleamed with pride. Good. Fear is what they want. It's how they've controlled this parish for generations. He glanced down the corridor, where Martinez pretended not to listen. Your mother's outside with Reverend Jackson and half the church ladies, filing complaints with commissioners, state police, civil rights groups. A small smile tugged Malik's lips. Mom's not playing? Marcus nodded. Never does. He reached through, gripping Malik's shoulder. You held your ground, protected our home. Now it's my turn to finish this. Outside, Angela stood with community leaders, reporters circling. Protest signs waved. How long do I stay here? Malik asked. Not long, Marcus said with certainty. You'll walk out soon. I guarantee it. Marcus left as calmly as he'd entered. Outside, Angela caught his eye. No words, just sheer resolve she would fight in daylight, through official channels. He would move in the shadows. Protesters gathered. News vans filled the lot. Marcus slipped unnoticed to his car. Inside, he opened his notebook. 2 names crossed out. Boyd, Millen. His finger traced the last. Latimore. That night, Latimore's warehouse loomed dark on the parish edge. Marcus killed his engine, moving like a ghost. He'd studied Carl's routine. Thursdays, he always stayed late, alone. Security was basic. Marcus cut the main line, plunging the building into dim green emergency lights. Inside, Marcus moved silently between shelves of tools and paint cans. He knew the layout by heart. Carl's office sat in the corner, his gun safe visible through glass. A floorboard creaked. "Who's there?" Carl's voice cracked from the office. "I've got a shotgun." Marcus stepped into view, calm. Carl aimed the Remington, sweat beading his forehead. "Put it down," Marcus said quietly. "Don't make this worse." Carl's finger tightened. "I'll kill you." But Marcus closed the distance in 3 precise steps. His hand knocked the barrel up. His strike snapped Carl's wrist. The shotgun clattered. Carl swung wildly, grabbing anything, a stapler, a wrench, but Marcus countered each blow with surgical precision. They slammed through glass cases, scattering fishing lures. Carl wheezed, face bloodied. "This is our town," he spat. "You people don't belong here." Marcus's voice stayed even. "I've fought men like you across the world. Cruelty isn't strength." With a twist, he slammed Carl into the wall. After 10 brutal minutes, Marcus caught him in a chokehold. Carl thrashed, then went limp. Marcus zip-tied his wrists and ankles to a support beam. Then he walked to the safe, carving a deep scar down its steel face with Carl's own hunting knife. The screech of metal filled the room. "This ends tonight," Marcus said to the unconscious man. He picked up the office phone, dialing the mayor's private line, straight to voicemail. At the beep, Marcus spoke clearly. "My son is still in that cell. You have until morning." Dawn came. Marcus leaned against his sedan outside the station, arms folded, calm but alert. His clean shirt and pressed khakis made him look like any other businessman. But his posture told another story, balanced, ready. Deputies hurried past, none daring to meet his eyes. Angela arrived in her scrubs, a thick envelope under her arm. "Everything's here statements, medical records, photos, years of buried incidents." She touched his arm. "Mr. Rivers helped gather more." Marcus nodded once. At 8:30, Mayor Thompson's black SUV rolled in. The heavyset man stepped out, wiping sweat despite the mild air. "Mr. Johnson," he said, trying to sound firm but wavering, "perhaps we discuss this in my office?" "Here's fine," Marcus said, tone almost friendly, but eyes sharp. Angela cut in, voice like steel. "Our son spent the night in jail for defending himself. I'd say it's already escalated." She handed over the envelope. The mayor's face paled as he read. "These incidents go back 15 years, Angela finished. "All buried." Marcus stepped closer. The mayor flinched. Simple solution. "Drop the charges. Release my son. We all go home." The mayor swallowed hard. I'll make some calls." 30 minutes later, Malik's cell door opened. He walked out, bruised but unbroken. No cameras, no headlines. Just a family leaving together, while the mayor drafted frantic damage control. By afternoon, announcements rippled quietly. Judge Millen on extended medical leave. Sheriff Boyd on sudden vacation. School board holding emergency healing sessions. A for sale sign in Lattimore's window. And Tanner Lattimore absent from school indefinitely. That evening, Marcus took Malik to Magnolia Diner. They ate scrambled eggs and toast in silence. Malik's bruises remained, but his posture had changed. He carried himself straighter, stronger. Days later, Malik walked into the old community center gym. Miss Angela, the director, looked up from her desk. "Malik Johnson, we've missed you." Malik's voice was quiet but steady. "I want to teach self-defense to the younger kids." She studied him, noticing the fading marks. "Are you ready for that, honey?" Malik nodded. "I learned something important. About standing tall. About not being afraid anymore." Blue mats lined the gym floor. 4 middle school boys shuffled nervously. Malik stood before them. "First thing," he said, his voice stronger, "is how to stand." He showed them the stance his father taught. Feet steady, weight balance. "This is your foundation." He corrected their positions gently. "Eyes up. You're not wrong for taking space. They practiced simple blocks. Then wrist escapes. Malik explained each step patiently. You're not trying to hurt anyone, just making sure they can't hurt you. Sometimes people try to make you feel small, he said. Like you don't deserve to walk safe. That's not true. You have the right to protect yourself. The boy's movements grew steadier. Malik felt something shift inside him. Each correction he gave them dissolved a little more of his own fear. The goal isn't the fight, he told them. The goal is to be strong enough you don't have to. The boys straightened with new confidence. Malik lined them up, leading a bow just as Marcus had taught. In the back, Marcus watched silently, his face unreadable, but his eyes proud. Malik stood tall, his profile caught in afternoon light, not defined by bruises, but by strength long waiting to emerge. I hope you enjoyed that story, the narrator's voice said. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the meantime, I've handpicked 2 more stories I know you'll enjoy. Have a great day!
Across town, Marcus stood in his yard with Malik. First lesson, he said quietly. Power isn't size. It's leverage and knowledge. Malik mirrored his stance, bruises still on his face. Together they practiced wrist releases, holds, counters. Marcus drilled him patiently. This isn't revenge. It's readiness. Never be a victim again.